Ian, as a man that's been traveling the world for a long time and spending time and teaching in gyms, it's always amazed me to hear the kind of music both played in gyms and listened to by a lot of people in gyms, particularly the muscle heads. A lot of very chaotic, head banging, heavy metal music and what I call bad rap music about killing the world and hating this and hating that and fuck this and fuck that. I find that that kind of music is very weakening to me and discordant in my soul. It stresses me to the core of my being. And when many of my students ask me why it is that people play that kind of music in the gym, and I suggest to them that they're actually using the music as a homeopathic, and I explain the laws of similars, and that they're actually choosing music that's mirroring their inner state. And just like you have the double slit experiment where you get particles and the waves can cancel each other out, that's what the law of similars says. I think that they're actually using this garbage music as a homeopathic to knock out the same level of crap inside of them, because I've talked to many of them, even my own students, and why do you listen to that shit? And you know what they say? The most common thing? It calms me down.
Yeah.
But to me, it just makes me feel like I'm being ripped apart by a meat shredder. So I'm just curious, as a musician and a healer, what is your take on that?
Yeah. Well, I think that sound healing across the board, you have some frequencies that will connect with a lot of people. But I think saying, like, one of the things that I always kind of laugh at is like 98% of the people that listened to this track found that they were more peaceful. And my question to those studies is, how many people going into this study already liked classical music? Right? That's the first question, right?
Yeah.
So you picked 100 people, and out of those 100 people, 78, 90 of them were like, I'm just saying a high number of them already liked classical. So then, how much of that factored into your study, and then how many were kind of moved, they didn't like it, but they kind of were moved. And these were questions that I would ask, people that we're working with on a personal level. So my point is that one man's ceiling is another man's floor, right? And so it has to do with vibrational state, but it's also preferences of music. Someone asked me the other day, "Do you ever listen to heavy music?" And I said, sometimes I listen to Rage Against the Machine or Tool, but I said, when I was younger, I could listen to that stuff and appreciate it and be into it. Now I'm kind of looking at it as an artist, and I say, oh, this is well recorded, or I like what they did here, but it's not something I listen to on a everyday basis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's shifted. I want my vibration to stay
coherent,
high. Yeah. And so I still appreciate different music. I mean, I listen to Led Zeppelin or John Prine or, James Taylor or the Beatles, from time to time, but most of the stuff I listen to is more vibrational music and more of the music that we're creating or working in those states. It's just you get to a point where you evolve to a different state and you still appreciate those things. But I think that people that are relying on this music as a crutch and haven't explored the other things that, are out there now. There's been huge expansion in the offering of music that is in, frequency based or binaural based. And I think it's worth investigating because, like we said, the conspiracy of the tuning, the conspiracy of the subliminal messaging in Hollywood, as well as the mainstream music. I'll tell you this. Recently, I had a younger person tell me, do you listen to any music that's made today, like, newer stuff, newer generation stuff? And I said, no, a couple things here and there. But they were, challenging me, like, there's some good music out there. Check it out. So I started exploring some stuff off of iTunes and Spotify. And I immediately noticed, after listening about 2 days to this stuff and just kind of exploring it, I felt very depressed. I felt very out of sorts, and immediately I stopped listening to the music and went back to my regular, music that I listened to, and I found that almost instantaneously I could feel the difference of these two musics, the pop music that's being put out today. And I don't even know, like I'll say this, I know this probably sounds crazy, but I don't even know if the artists truly know what their music's being embedded with, meaning that when they record in the studio, that's kind of out of their hands now. And then it goes to the mixing and mastering, and it goes to, and it's like the subliminal messaging put in Hollywood movies and all of the things like that we were talking about before. I think, is it happening on every level? I don't think so. But is it happening at the highest level? I 100% agree that those infusion processes are taking place on what they will see as reaching the masses,
Well, there's a very good book about exactly that. Are you familiar with the bass guitarist Victor Wooten?
Yeah, I love Victor Wooten.
Well, his first book was The Music Lesson, which was excellent. And his newest book is The Spirit of Music. And that's exactly what the whole book's about, is how the music producers using electronic manipulation have completely stolen the spirit of music. And he is talking about how music is dying and how we're killing the soul of music and what it's doing to us as people, and how deeply concerned he is that music is basically being hijacked and crucified through manipulation by computers and sound engineers that are. And he also talks about how people don't realize that most of the so-called musicians that are on the charts today can't sing or make music. It's all done in the studio, and it's not even, there's no talent involved anymore.
Right. Yeah. I had a conversation about this. I was saying James Taylor, someone like that. They write a song. They write it from their heart. It's an outpouring of creative, and then if it hits with the masses, it hits with the masses, right? Then it's like it's something that resonates with people. Now, Taylor Swift or someone goes into the studio and there's 5 music producers that are telling her what she needs to do to have the most successful song. And the focus is just, and I'm just using Taylor Swift. I'm not trying to single anyone out. I'm just saying a popular artist, let's just blank here. And you look at the credits and it's like a lot of the stuff, most of the time, it's not even songs they wrote. They're just performing it, and their producers are telling them what they need to do and how to shape their image and the chord progressions, and they have all these different musicians that are, like you said, sculpting behind the scenes, and it's just it's insane. It really is. It's not about making heartfelt music, and I think that's another thing with what Victor Wooten was saying, is that the soul, the heart, the passion is gone. It's about making money and entertaining. It's not.
It's all based on algorithms.
Yeah, I'll say this. I just want to say this. You absolutely have to. You personally, okay? I'm saying that you got to see this film. It's called The Mindscape of Alan Moore. The Mindscape of Alan Moore, and it will blow your mind. It's an amazing documentary. This is a writer and a artist that did The Watchmen, V for Vendetta, a bunch of the,
Oh yeah,
if you've ever, yeah. But he talks about the power of creativity, and he talks about how it's been dumbed down to these mindless forms of entertainment. And everything that we're talking about, you just have to watch that documentary. It'll blow your mind. It's
How do you
so
spell
good.
his last name?
Moore.
Okay, good. I'm going to check it out for sure. Ian, your music with binaural beats for meditation, and probably you use music with binaural beats for meditation and probably other applications. Could you explain how binaural beat music is different than other music and how binaural beats actually work?
Yeah. Yeah. So binaural beats, I really believe, give the brain and heart a foundation, a structure to kind of ground to. And what happens is binaural beat has this really interesting phenomenon that happens when you take a frequency in the left ear and then put a different hertz. Like, so let's say in the left ear we put 100 hertz, and in the right ear we put 104 hertz. And so what ends up happening is this interesting wobble, depending, and the wobble becomes more prevalent depending on the power, the amplitude, that you're giving it. And so you get this wobble sensation. If you've ever heard a binaural beat by itself, it'll just go whoa, 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 kind of a wobble effect. And so what ends up happening is the brain does not like this disorder. you know what it does is the hemispheres, the left and right hemispheres, synchronize, and in that synchronization the brain hears one tone, right?
Right.
And so that one tone will be the difference between the left and the right speaker. So if I did 100 and 104, it's going to pull in that one frequency, and it's going to actually mimic 4 hertz is what the brain activity, the brainwave pattern is going to step down. So 4 to 8 hertz, you're dealing with theta pattern, right?
Right.
So you're stepping the brainwave patterns down into a theta pattern. And what happens is in that step down, the body, the nervous system then relaxes a little bit, lets go a little bit, because the theta pattern is what you hit just before REM sleep, right?
Right.
So that brainwave state is very conducive for kind of like that twilight, very
Meditation,
relaxed meditation, things like that.
out of body travel.
Exactly. Yeah. And then what ends up happening is ultimately the heart rate lowers. You'll feel the heart rate drop, and it'll drop a little bit, and people will kind of drop into that relaxed feeling. So that phenomenon happens with headphones. So what's different about binaural beats is that you definitely need headphones for them to be effective as they can be. And then the other side is that it actually synchronizes the hemispheres of the brain in a way that traditional music can't really do.
Which is critical today, because so many people are trapped in their left brain hemisphere. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Which is linked to high cortisol levels, stress levels.
Mm-hmm. So really, the music that we're creating is 90% of it is utilizing binaural beat technology. The thing that I believe personally that's a little different is that binaural beats need to be customized for the individual, meaning that one size fits all in a binaural beat is very hard to accommodate everyone. Certain people need different amplitudes. People, depending on what level they are. Some people will say, well, binaural beats used to work for me, but now they don't anymore. And I said, they still do. You just have grown. You need to grow. You need binaural beats that grow with you.